Hello and welcome. This is Swinging at Shins. You've got Aaron and Woodsy today. Woodsy, how you doing?
I'm back, baby. I'm back. I've been raring to go for a while now, and I'm ready, man. Let's jump right in because I'm sauced up for all these topics we got today, brother.
I know it's been a while since you've been on the air on the show here, and
Been like
it's been
two
duly
weeks
missed.
at
Yeah,
least.
well, I think it's been three to be honest, because no, it's been 2 weeks for sure,
It's been three.
and we skipped last week. Yeah, it's been a while. We
Yeah.
we took that international break off ish, and then last week we
Even
didn't
we take
record.
international breaks.
Yeah, right. I mean, look, if Rebecca Lowe can do it, I think we can do it too.
Oh yeah, absolutely, absolutely. That's our lead. We follow her.
Yeah, she's just carving the path for us, and we're just following behind it. That's
Yeah,
all.
yeah. She paves
And
the
I
way.
think
We
that
just walk on.
I think that's the only time that we'll ever be in the breath of Rebecca Lowe or any sentence, and it will only be said by us, not her. But if you're watching Rebecca Lowe, please enjoy the show and share it out if you want. To the rest of our fans, please also share us out, and newcomers, like, subscribe, follow, comment. We like fan engagement. Please do that. We love it. So yeah, like you said, let's just jump right on into this. Do you want to jump into the match day 10 scores, or where do you want to go
Wherever
with
you
this
want to
today?
jump in, wherever you,
You know what?
I'm good
I'm
if you want to
actually
go over. Go ahead.
I was gonna run just right down through round 10, and then do a table real quick, and then because we missed match day 9, so people might not know where teams lie right now. So um, last week, match day 10, we had Crystal Palace home against Spurs. They lost 1-2. Chelsea lost at home to Brentford 2-0. Bournemouth won against Burnley 2-1. Arsenal stamped Sheffield United, who is having a real problem scoring anything. Rhett got this score right too, 5-0, which is incredible. So tip of the cap for you, Rhett. Um,
Right.
Wolves and Newcastle. Again, I said this in Villa. Apparently, Wolves are really good at home, and they held Newcastle to a draw at 2-2. West Ham lost against Everton 1-0. Didn't see that coming. I think tournament legs are getting on them a little bit. Villa beat Luton Town at home 3-1. Brighton drew to Fulham. Didn't really see that coming either, 1-1. Liverpool beat Forest at home 3-0. And Manchester United and Manchester City, we had a derby. Don't know why we're not going to talk about it. We sort of are. Manchester United was held goalless, and City scored 3-0. And the table sits at, I'll just do top 8. Spurs at first, Arsenal second, tied with both goal differential and points with City. So that's 1, 2, 3 right there. Liverpool sitting fourth with 23 points. Aston Villa sitting fifth. My boys, 22 points. Newcastle is sixth with 17, tied with Brighton with also 17, but ahead on goal differential. So Brighton sit at seventh, and United currently eighth with 15 points. Our bottom 3, I'll do 5 actually. Forest sitting 16th with 10 points. Bournemouth 17th with 6 points. That almost tripped me. Luton Town, Burnley, and Sheffield United round out the bottom 3 at 18, 19, and 20 with a respective 5, 4, and 1 points. Not great. All right.
Yeah, it's
Yes.
it's
Go ahead.
it's not
I
the
know you want
greatest looking table for those newly promoted sides. I can tell you that
to. Mm-mm.
they're very they're this is the
Which is crazy because, well, so Sheffield United personally, and I was gonna talk about it earlier, but might as well bring it up now because I just finished with them. Um, they're a team that bounced right back. Did they bounce back? I think they maybe had a 1 or 2 year layoff, but nonetheless, they're most of their club, most of their team has Prem experience. The manager, I might not Is it Chris Wilder still, or I
He's
should
not
know
there.
that.
He was the one that got him up the first time. It's Paul Heckenbottom.
Yes, he right. I
Pretty
don't know if he
crap,
has prem
in
experience.
my opinion.
Yeah, they've been pretty bad. Only putting up 1 point, and it was a draw to Everton, which they probably should have won anyway. They were in the lead 2-1, but Everton rescued that. They've in their last 5, they haven't won. They've given up 20 goals. Manager change? It's got to be right.
I would say, you know what, Aaron, I think you're almost there. I don't know if a manager change is quite necessary considering this team, given whatever manager gets put in there, is not going to succeed. It's not a situation that can have a success, in my opinion.
Mm-hmm.
They were one of the fewest spenders in the league this year in the summer window. They didn't put any of the money to good use, in my opinion. The ones when they did spend, they got the one good player there from your side, from Villa, Archer. He's a good player, man. He's a darn good player.
Yeah, he is.
Hammer is another good one that they got, but outside of those two, I mean, you're basically dragging up a championship side into the Premier League here, and I would say that the fixture pileup didn't necessarily help them with the way that with the way it was lined up with the teams that were playing. Obviously, they still got some big teams left to go here too. So I would say either way, it's not going to be a success. If they do end up firing them now, if you're going to do it during the international break, that's when you do it. I could see them doing it at that time. But you got to look at who the heck are you going to bring in? Who out there would take that job? I mean, the first one that comes to mind would be Sam Allardyce, but that's really it. I mean, I don't know if anybody out there really wants this task, considering most likely you're probably going to get relegated in the stands.
I agree. I think for the fans' sake, I don't know how attached they are to Paul Heckenbottom. I mean, he did get him up, so there is some sort of allegiance to that. But at some point, you got to ask as a fan, when's enough? And, you kind of have to see a managerial change. And you know what? This whole podcast for today, this episode, is going to be a running theme about managers.
And bad teams.
I think if I was a Sheffield United fan, I would try to get to the international break, and I would hope that the owners would have enough cojones in them to fire and try to look for a new manager, whether it could be Dean Smith, somebody who has Prem experience, who's coached Aston Villa at one point. He's coached a Brentford side in the Championship who was really good. You could try to – I know Graham Potter won't take it, but there's Graham Potter still out there. I had another manager in mind too. It slipped my –
You know who I was actually just thinking of?
Who?
And I know it would be a terrible opportunity for him to take. Frank Lampard. He shouldn't. I don't know why, but I feel like that's just type. That's the English in the Premier League would say, "Oh, Frank Lampard's available. Let's go get him." The guy's an awful man. I mean, they're not going to get promoted. I can tell you that, or they're not going to stay up. Sorry.
I think as far as a publicity thing, getting Frank Lampard wouldn't be a bad idea, but as a manager. I don't like him personally.
You're not going to get results.
Yeah, we've seen how he's played out between Everton and Chelsea multiple times, and it just hasn't really worked out all that well. Antonio Conte's out there. No, I'm just kidding. That would be the coolest thing. Could you imagine? He would never take it, but good God.
I was trying to think. It would make sense for a couple guys, maybe Sam Allardyce. I think is obviously. I think he's the one that the first one I thought of.
It's not the last 10 games of the season.
Yeah, I mean, true. But if there's anybody else out there who I could see them go after,
I got it.
I kind of see them looking back at their previous manager that got them up. I could see them looking into it like a Chris Wilder or a Wilder and see if you can get him over there, maybe for like one last hurrah to keep him up type of deal. Otherwise, I don't know if there's anybody that really would benefit from taking that job. I mean, you're most likely you're gonna stay there for at least a portion or the rest of the year if you don't get fired, and then you're probably gonna get fired in the off season anyway. So it's not a job that I think people are gonna jump towards. It's gonna be who are Sheffield United's board gonna overpay to get into there and basically ride the ship to the ground is what they're gonna do. So as much as I like having Sheffield in the Prem, I think they're a club that they got a pretty decent sized stadium. They've got a pretty decent sized following in the country. I just don't see how they're sustainably able to keep their side in the Premier League, and that's from right now. That was in the past, and that's going forward. They're just not the type of team to do that. So, I say. Right now, I would keep this guy, at least reassess during the international break, and then at worst, you have another break in January after the festive fixtures. You take another assessment there. And if you are in last place there, then you get rid and you start from scratch, basically. But, I mean, I put the onus of what they – of the reason why they're there on the people that they didn't bring in. That's where it is. You had opportunity. You let go with probably your best defensive midfielder, and you let him go to Burnley. What are you thinking?
They were thinking short-term money. I think that's what that came down to. Yeah, you got the biggest, one of the biggest money promotion, worldwide. But as a club, you probably have to look at yourself and be like, do we have the personnel to stay up? Probably not. So we're going to take advantage of getting to the Prem and then having that boost of value on your players and then sell from there. And I think that's that thought process right there, because they probably didn't think that they would even not that they would be in the Prem.
I'll even throw this question back at you, Aaron, because I think you made a good point. So with everything going around this club, and obviously staying up, they make more money, right? And they do have a financial issue per se with Sheffield United. If you were to make a drastic decision and say get rid of the manager now, bring somebody in, you would have to sanction. Obviously, you're thinking you'd have to sanction some buys for the winter window, and that brings back of you're looking at it now in a whole as a whole here. Who do you bring in? How much money do you give them? And are you able to sanction those transfers? That's the only talking point I would have if I'm a manager going in. So if I'll present to you this. How much would you need to take that job? How much money would you need for that to take that job?
At least
in transfer funds. I'm sorry, in transfer funds.
I figured. At least 50 million. Just I right out the gate, I would need 50 million. It's not even just to buy players.
But that's what I was thinking.
I need 50 million to maybe bring in one more player, and then loans. If I could bring in a few loans from the big clubs who have players who are complaining about getting playing time, then I would try to siphon off those players, or even try to pluck a player from the Championship, or even players from League One or other leagues. What I'm trying to get at is buy one player for about 25-30 million, and then bring in the rest as loans, and then maybe a loan to obligation buy. But I'm getting way too in depth here. That is what I'd try. One player buy, a bunch of loans, see how it works out. And if it doesn't work out, well, then they loan back, and I have I paid their salary, but I don't have any obligation to buy. And I have that one player that I bought in the window still with me to the Championship, and hopefully I can bounce back, spend a little bit more money in the next season, which would probably be another 20 million to try to bring in a couple more players to try to jump back into the into the Premier League. So that's where I sit.
I would say one, you're spot on, but I would you're right. I'd even add though, like let's look at the positions of need. Obviously, I think goalkeeper, you can say there's a glaring need there. Defense, there's a glaring need there. Even though they got that young kid, I can't remember his name off the top of my head. He's got a very long name. I think
he's injured. He's unfortunately injured is the problem.
Yeah, he's been out a while.
Yeah.
So I mean, you have certain players there, but you have these gaping holes, and a lot of the players that they're playing are older players. They were there when they got promoted the first time and got relegated,
Yeah.
and so I do think it needs a complete overhaul, pretty much.
Yeah.
So I mean, the way you were kind of wording it there, I think was perfect because you want to splash on one guy that you can base everything off of for your next couple of years, maybe,
Mm-hmm.
right? But you need to plug and place in those holes, and you need to make sure that those holes are filled because that's the only way you're going to be able to get one. You're going to be able to get points, but two, get enough points to stay up. Because you got to think right now. I think the threshold is getting lower because I think there's going to be a cutoff between that 15th, 14th place team, and that there's going to be a gap from 14th or 15th place to the bottom, and I think that's going to be where everything's hit or miss. You're going to be able to have a lot of these teams in a bunch, and they're going to be capable if they can make the right signings. They're going to be able to stay up.
Mm-hmm.
It's just a matter of how many points can you get until the transfer window. Are you going to keep the coach? If you get rid of the coach, how much money are you going to give him to spend? He's going to need money to spend in order to take the job. That, in my opinion. And then from there, I mean, you got to be able to get the right players in. And the amount of holes they have are quite gaping. But there's no way that with 50 million pounds you cannot fill at least 3 or 4 of those holes and make your team considerably better. And so I again, the whole thing for me, the whole thing is on the management. It's on whoever's agreeing to the signings, as the sporting director, whoever it may be. That's where this all comes back to from Sheffield.
Agreed. Unfortunately, and it's funny because we were all making fun of Luton Town only being able to score a point from there on, but then it's like, well, Sheffield United actually sits in that position right now, and we're probably should. Yeah. I'm not saying we should poke fun at any respective team because, as a fan of that team, it's really it's a bummer to have that feeling, but man, it's just not working well for them, unfortunately. So let's pivot off of Sheffield United here because I think they got their nice due diligence here, and I'm thinking we shift to another team who's got financial issues. I won't even shift to our biggest crown jewel yet. We'll get there. Don't worry. But Everton, I'm sure you like hearing this as a Liverpool fan. Everton has struggled.
This is a topic I know quite well.
And they potentially have a 12-point deduction coming to them. Potentially. It's been in the making. We knew about it last season, and it would have been a real problem for them if they got relegated. Thankfully for them, they didn't. So there's still an issue here. For those people who are first-time soccer fans, and if you don't know, there's promotion relegation. And relegation is, for this league, the bottom 3 teams. So 20, 19, and 18 all get sent down to the championship, which is the division below. And each division has a promotion relegation other than the Premier League, who only has relegation because that's as high as you can go. So we sit here with Everton, who has a possibility of being having a 12-point deduction on them because I believe it's financial issues, spending way too much money. You're allowed a certain amount of money each season to make like a net gain or a net loss. Realistically, nobody really net gains here. And they've spent a ton of money in the last many seasons.
Basically, I can even add to that.
Yeah, go ahead. Obviously, that's what you're here for.
Yeah, they basically what's been happening is like they basically have all this. They have all this cash that they had influx from their previous now rest in peace deceased owner Bill Kenwright had placed a lot of this money in order to buy players. You're looking at the Gylfi Sigurdssons, the McNeils, the guys that they have pretty much on this team, the Onanas, the Pickfords. Yeah, a bunch of these guys there was a lot of money that was hashed out. Now, what they were doing was they were basically planning ahead, thinking that they could recoup a lot of the money with one, sales, and two, possibly getting, maybe European money, bigger revenue coming in from the TV money for the Premier League. So they were basically saying, all right, let's just go crazy. Let's go get this money right now. Let's spend all these guys, get them in here, and create a team that we think is capable of competing. And basically what happens is they have all these guys come in and the team stinks. And what happens is it stinks over and over and over again. And now what happens is you have all this influx of debt from these players that are no good. They've had a lot of flops in there too. So what they've done is they've essentially dug themselves a hole. Spend money, the hole gets deeper. And now they're in a position basically where financially they are breaking multiple rules. They've really only been charged for one rule, which is one of the basic financial fair play rules regarding around spending and current income or revenue from the club. Now the revenue numbers are dreadful. They're pretty bad. The club's revenue is one of it's been one of the worst in the Prem over the last couple of years.
An annual loss over the past 5 consecutive seasons of more than 430 million.
And look how much they've spent. So think of it that way too. You think of how much they've spent on players over the course of that time, right? And you're looking at, there's a 50 million pound signing in there. There's a couple 40 million pound signings there.
Yep.
A couple 30, 35 million signings in there. And that adds up. And that basically is just piled on top to this loss in revenue. So that's basically where this whole thing starts from. And now it's to the point where this is one charge and the Premier League is recommending 12 points. So now larger scale, you look at the possible charges for other teams coming down the line, hopefully, if they actually happen. You're looking at Man City. You're looking at Chelsea. We can only hope. Possibly, maybe there's going to be something with Newcastle down the line. There's no way they can spend. Think of it this way: Newcastle was 19th when they got bought out by the Saudis, and they've spent the third most amount of money in the Premier League since they've been bought out. And they were 18th place, haven't been in Europe. That's something I would say that I can guarantee you within the next 5 to 10 years, something will happen about that. But I just want to say that the one thing about Everton is they are on the verge of financial ruin. And that's basically where, and it's been, it's kind of almost been swept under the rug. That's kind of where this thing is coming from. The Premier League is basically saying you've broken our rules for sustainability. You are not a sustainable club. Yeah. So the thing we need to do is we need to knock you down a peg. This is your punishment. And personally, I think it's correct. I still think they'll stay up because the other 3 teams are that crap. But I don't know if a mid-season. I don't know if I can remember a mid-season point deduction in the Prem. I don't know if you can either, but I
don't think so. Not that I can think of off the top of my head. So with a 12-point deduction, they would be at -2 right now. And even if they win a match, so let's say they hammer it down today. Boom. Comes out tomorrow, Everton gets that 12-point match ban. They'd sit -2, they'd sit 20th. All they need to do is win one more match and they're back above Sheffield United. Seriously though, that's the crazy thing. Even if 2, I'd have to do the math. No, okay. So even if Sheffield United draw, they get a point. Everton win, they get 3 points. They're back up to 1. Dang, I did my math wrong. I was like, oh, maybe they'll still.
Hey, it's better than my math.
I thought they would jump. They would still jump Sheffield United. That's not the case. My math was wrong. But even like you said, even at that rate, like I had thought to myself the same way. Boy, this is going to be really hard to come back for Everton. I don't really think it is either.
It's not that bad, right?
This bottom, if anything, this would be the perfect season for Everton to have this deduction and still be able to crawl out of this without going and getting relegated. It would be insane.
As crazy as that sounds, I don't know if I would love to see if they do the point deduction, like they say, if the recommended the highest max they can do is 12 points. If they do indeed do the 12 points, Aaron, I want to know when they would implement it. Would it be? I mean, if I was the Premier League, when would I do it? I would do it in January, right in January. It's pretty even. You gave them half a season. You go right smack dab in the middle. If you're going to do it mid-season, do it in the middle, or do it at the beginning. That's how I would do it. But obviously, they didn't do it at the beginning, so I would say do it in the middle. So you're looking. They have a new January break after the festive fixtures. So I would say, if I was going to do it, that's when I would do it. But now I'm looking at it and I'm like, isn't it an advantage for them to know that they can now they now possibly have this on the line, and they can basically go balls to the wall. Like, who cares? Don't play. But the thing is, you got Sean Dyche, so that basically ruins everything. But if I was them, I would play balls to the wall for every single match. Throw everybody forward. I don't care. Score as many. Let them score 3. Guess what? We're going to score 4. That's what I would try to do. I wouldn't basically, be playing that defense, trying to get, let's try to scrap for 1 point over the next 3 matches. No, let's try to get 3 in every single match. That's what they should do. And I know Sean Dyche isn't a guy that plays that way, that never sets his team up that way. Yeah. But I think that's something that if I was Everton, knowing that this is coming, down the pipeline, I would 100% be looking at the possibility of throwing the complete and utter game plans that we've been doing all season out the window. Don't even bother with it, and just try to get 3 points every single match. No more sitting back. No more playing defensive. No more Jordan Pickford short arms, being stuck in goal against 30 shots a game. It's not a winning formula. So I think that's what they need to do. If they're going to stay up, that's where I would say put all the balls in that court there.
So, as far as your question about or inquiry about teams taking point deductions mid-season.
Oh yeah, let me know. I can't remember.
So
I remember Derby County doing it in the championship, but that's it.
Yeah, there's a few in the championship or in the lower tiers, but Portsmouth had it in February of 2010 with a 9-point deduction, and Middlesbrough had a 3-point deduction in March of 1997. Because it was not related to financial issues, though. Oh, it was league fixture. I really don't understand that one. Club failed to fulfill a league fixture. Oh, they didn't play a game against Blackburn Rovers. That's what ended up happening. That's weird.
What year was that? 96 or 97?
90. That was the 96-97 season.
Was that the year Blackburn won it?
They had an insufficient amount of players, Middlesbrough. So then they couldn't play. I don't know. It's 97.
I mean, it wasn't like there was a pandemic.
You don't know how it happens? You know what? It probably happens because the team was either too injured or I don't know. Was SARS out that year? I really, that's fair. I really don't know how it happens.
Now that you mention it, though, I do remember the Portsmouth one. I rooted a lot for that Portsmouth team. I loved watching that whole them and Wigan. I loved the whole Wigan story of them coming up, and I think it was the FA Cup. I think it was 2010, 2011. I believe
so, yeah.
Wigan in the FA Cup. What a hell of a run that was. But yeah, I'm starting to remember it now. I couldn't remember the reason, and I think that's why I don't remember it actually happening. Because I didn't, and I definitely don't remember the Middlesbrough one. That Middlesbrough one. I mean, I wasn't even a fan yet. I was. What was I? I think I was like 4 years old. So
a child.
I'd become a fan till like 99, 01.
Oh, okay. So what you're saying
around their area. So it was
What you're saying is we
What's
should
up?
have a time
I lost
machine.
you.
Nah, you didn't lose me. There's no way. I'm here.
Yeah, and go back and figure out what the hell happened to Middlesbrough. That's what I'm talking about.
No,
Let's
no.
go.
Even we could just YouTube video that. What I'm saying is we should have a time machine, go back to 2001, and be like, Little Woodsy, don't cheer for Liverpool. Little Woodsy, cheer for another. Cheer for Everton. No.
You wanna know who I would have cheered for? You wanna know who I would have picked? You wanna know who I would have picked?
Let me guess.
I know who I would have picked.
Let me guess. I would say.
Now
Oh,
I was
man,
a big
know
big Robbie Fowler fan. I liked the little guy, I liked the goal scorer. That was my guy. Michael Owen was my other guy.
Mm,
And then obviously
okay,
Gerrard.
fair enough. Well, fair enough. I don't know. I don't really know. I got nothing.
Who do you think I would have picked?
No, I'm swinging. I got nothing. I'm swinging a shins here.
There were two other teams I would have considered at the time. I would have said the first team I would have chosen, and Rhett's gonna love this. I would have chose Arsenal.
They were really good that year.
Definitely don't. Yeah, they were very good. They were very good.
So I heard.
But I was growing up. It was Liverpool. It was Arsenal. And the other one I kind of really gravitated towards was Leeds United. So because they were one of the few teams that was I was able to, when they had a big match, it was one of the few games that you could watch. So
yeah.
Liverpool was always on TV. United was always on TV. Arsenal was always on TV.
Mm-hmm.
Any Manchester City fans out that are watching the show, they weren't on TV because they were in the championship. So there was that. I mean, it was the league back then is totally different from what it is now.
Certainly is. They just got the Premier League because it wasn't, for new fans, it wasn't always called the Premier League. That's a new
1992 was the first year.
Yeah, so that was relatively new as
92 was the first year of the Prem, and then so oddly enough, Liverpool won it in 91. The Prem starts in 92. I was like, okay, that makes total sense. I was born in 92. That's why we lost. Never won again.
The league is always after Liverpool. They just want to hold them down, man.
I'm just saying. People hate us because they ain't us. They hate us because they ain't us.
Yeah, or maybe it's the song.
Which one? They're all good. They're all good. We got plenty of songs. There's an Anfield songbook. You can go on Amazon and buy it right now, Aaron. I'll get it for you.
No, I'm okay. I'll live. Oh man. Oh, okay. So we're talking about managers this episode and crappy teams. Well, unfortunately, one I have a little more lamentful, I think is the proper word for that. I'm less lamentful with this next team. So we're going to pivot to Manchester United since you brought up Manchester, at least the city. What the heck is wrong with United?
Oh, everything's wrong. Everything's wrong. But Gary Neville's also wrong too. So I'm going to throw that out there. I don't know if you've heard Gary Neville's recent rants or whatever you want to call it.
I tend to tune him out.
Basically saying that, yeah, I know it's hard to tune him out though when he's like on every single TV screen ever. Like every time I turn on Sky Sports or something like that or whatever, the guy's on there. So there's a lot going on with this club. I'm going to be the one that says it out front. I don't care if people disagree with me. It does not start with the ownership in this case. The ownership has been doing a pretty decent job in giving. Well, they've been giving the managers what they want. They gave Ole, hey, let's go get Jadon Sancho. They spent 75 million pounds on Jadon Sancho. You got Ten Hag coming in. Ten Hag was like, oh, I want all my Dutch guys that I had at Ajax and all these guys. You spent 50 million pounds on Onana. You spent another 80 million pounds on Anthony. You brought in who was it? Well, Weghorst is not there anymore. Another Dutch player, but dude, that was a complete bust there. There's a number of players you could go. You can honestly say that Casemiro is one of the busts with the way his season's gone this year. Pretty decent year last year, not great in my opinion, but this year he's been absolutely horrendous. The new guy they brought in from Fiorentina, crap. He's crap. And I'm thank God Liverpool did not sanction that deal because apparently the deal was on the table. You know, they asked him, and Amrabat's basically like, "Oh, hang on, I want to wait a little bit and wait to the deadline." Liverpool's like, "Nope, bye. We're going to get Gravenberch," and we got Gravenberch. But I don't understand how you can blame the owners when the owners are just doing what the people that are advising the football minds in the club to do. You know, like your so-called sporting director, your manager, your coaches, they have the players they want. And they are like, hey, can you sanction? You know how long it took for them to get Anthony? It took them 2 months to get that guy in? And he's like to strike a deal with Ajax. And Ajax, good on them for holding out because they're crap right now too. But it's on the management. It's on whoever is your sporting director at this point. I know there's roles that are vacant in the club still, and it's also on the players. You can't spend this much money on players and have them completely be crap. The last people I blame is the ownership in this case.
So I totally agree with that actually, and I had to talk myself down from the fact that I should point the finger at Glazers too. And I was like, you know what? I'd seen, and to your point of the spending money, they had spent for Ten Hag right now. They spent somewhere north of 250 million. As somebody who's not a top 6 club, 250 million is a lot of freaking money. And if every year or within the coaching cycle we're able to spend 250 million as a Villa fan, I'm ecstatic. Who the hell are we bringing in? This is fantastic. Our owners are doing so much for us. Thank you. I would be, thank you. I don't get it. I at some point you just have to think that, and I'm going to take this from my other coach that I had, Will. United is on a downgrade. They're downgrading. They're not a big club anymore in the Prem. And now I'm spinning off, by the way. So I'm spinning off this from his downgrade. They're just, it's, and this is also something Red has brought up as well, that they just buy to buy. Our brother is buying all these players. We need to do this too to stay in the limelight. Oh, Liverpool bought these players. We need to do that too. Or, Newcastle right up the road bought these players. We need to do. So it's just so funny that they think that they're so big still, and it's killing them in the sense that they're not realizing that they're not anymore, and they're trying to just over negotiate everything, and that's something that Red has brought up many times as well. And the only person that I thought this window was of any value is Højlund, and that's it. Amrabat,
and he still hasn't scored a Premier League goal.
Yeah, he's 007, I'm pretty sure. And for those who don't know what 007 means, he has no assists, no goals in 7 matches. 007. And it's there's nobody to really hang your hat on. Marcus Rashford looks terrible. And I don't even mean he's not a terrible talent. He's a great talent. I like the guy personally. He seems to be super nice, charismatic. But there's something different with him after the World Cup during that season to this season. This season, he just seems like lackadaisic, doesn't really jive with the rest of the team kind of deal. Antony is terrible. He only has one move, and it's to cut it on his left foot and to try to take a shot. Casemiro had one good season out. He had a very good last season. This season, he looks like his age. And Ten Hag, I don't know what he's thinking with his back line. Why are you starting Johnny Evans and why are you starting Harry Maguire? Those are both backups. You have Varane healthy, and that's what a
With
lot of
Varane on the bench.
yes, he's healthy, and I don't get it. So all these things are starting to stack up. The magnifying glass is starting to really point on his little bald head, and it's starting to burn a little bit. And if he doesn't figure it out soon enough, he's going to find himself in the trash.
I've got a stat for you.
Yeah,
And I specifically saved this because I thought this would be a good one for the show. Premier League goals this season. Okay.
yeah.
Marcus Rashford, Hoyland, Anthony, Sancho, Garnacho, and Martial. How many goals they have this season combined?
Oh God, I think it's like 0, isn't it, or 1?
1.
Yeah.
Mikhailo Mudryk has 2 goals this season.
Okay, so one of them is super lucky. That was not a shot.
Who the hell came up with that stat? I literally found it today, and I was like, that is probably the best stat I've ever seen in my entire life.
And this is probably just in the
lining
Prem
up
too.
A number of busts and just going at them here.
And this is just probably in the Prem, so it's not like
just
other competitions.
Premier League goals. Other comps right now, I don't know what. I mean, Mudryk's not in any of the comps. That's the thing, you know. I'll be honest. I think this is. I've never in my lifetime, I've never had as big a gap between my club Liverpool and Manchester United. I've never had as big a gap between Liverpool and Everton. The fact that it's happening all at once is one, I love it. But 2, I never thought I'd actually be able to be like United are the worst of the big 6. I never thought I'd be able to say that. And it's absolutely eye-opening that they continue to fail. Transfer window after transfer window, coach after coach, and they do it the same exact way. They bring in these guys. The coach tries to implement a philosophy. The philosophy is good for 1 year, and then it fails. It fails because the guy, there could be injuries, there could be a number of different things. But normally, what that coach doesn't do is transition to something that actually does work. We saw it with Moyes. He never transitioned out of something that would be able to work. Van Gaal was the same way. He's stubborn as hell. He's never going to do that. Mourinho, I mean, obviously stubborn. So there's one there. He wants all these guys that they've had are trying to go. They're going to take the ship down their way, or they're going to basically get fired. No change. There's no change. They don't want to adapt to change. And I think probably the most stubborn out of all of them might actually be Ten Hag, or Seven Hag, as I like to call him, because I don't think he gets that. Like, he obviously has a formation. He has a system that he wants to run, but that system isn't capable of winning you games in the Premier League. The physicality is one. The type of players you have are 2. I don't think the players he has available provide the best formation for what he normally puts out there. And lastly, the biggest thing that keeps catching my eye over the last probably 8 or 9 months is you don't have an actual captain on this team.
I was just
Bruno Fernandes is probably the worst captain I've ever seen in professional football. Absolutely horrendous. Attitude is bad. Always whining, always on the ground, always faking injuries. I was watching a game they won against Liverpool. There was a ball. Liverpool, Mo Salah just scored. He's taking the ball out of the net, and Mo's trying to get the ball from him. Firmino's trying to get the ball from him, and he fakes an injury. He literally fakes getting hit in the eye and goes down when he never got hit in the face at all. The guy is the worst captain I've ever seen in my life, and I'm finally, I'm kind of upset that somebody actually pointed it out, Roy Keane, on TV the other night, because the fact that he pointed it out means that other people are also going to point it out now. I'd rather have them be delirious to the actual issues that are going on there, because that means we're able to fucking get more points. So I'm hoping, in my honest opinion, I want him to stay until at least, I would say, probably December 17th specifically. You can look up what that date is, but I would hope that Ten Hag stays at least till that date, and then after that, they can ship him off to wherever they want to go.
I think we can all figure out what that date really is, what the significance of that date is.
Just leaving it up, leaving it for interpretation. Okay.
Oh yeah, okay. I don't think so. I agree with you, and I agree with Roy Keane. And I had to take a while in order to see it. And I was going to bring up the Bruno Fernandes thing as well, because everyone else is, because why not? And I agree with it. Bruno Fernandes is a terrible, terrible captain. And when you look at it, as a player who doesn't have the captaincy, who do you look to that isn't your manager? Who do you hang out with the most? Where does the command come from after the manager? It's the captain. And if there's a disconnect between the manager, the captain, and the players, or you don't have a good captain, then everything else crumbles. The players' mentality is confused. It's the same way with the NFL, kind of, where the quarterback is always the captain just because he's the quarterback. But if the players don't believe in their quarterback much as same way as the captain, then they're not going to ball out like they should. They're not going to play up to their highest potential. And that's the way it seems like in the way Bruno Fernandes is the captain. And honestly, stripping the captaincy, yeah, he's going to get upset because he's been a captain forever. And he might throw a hissy fit and he might roll on the floor because that's just what he does. But giving it to Rashford seems like it would be a world of change. And he's the guy you would build your team around. And I don't understand why they just refuse to look at him as anything more than a winger/striker.
And you're spot on, actually. I think that was the guy. If I was to pick somebody on this roster right now, that would be the captain. It should have been him. In my humble opinion, who it should have been was David De Gea. That was the guy that I would have said, you keep him, that's easily your captain. He's already, the most, I would say he's the most passionate guy that was on that squad the last 5 or so years. Easily. But Rashford, I think you're spot on, actually. Rashford is the guy. If you do strip it, it has to go to him. And the other reason to kind of tag on to what you're doing is he's at a contract in, I think, 2 years. You need to solidify him down. Rashford.
I thought Rashford signed a new contract recently.
He's out of contract in 2 years.
I'll look it up. Hold on.
Did he? I didn't know that. Yeah, see if you can find that. My computer's so slow right now. But I thought, in my opinion, if you want to keep your best player, that's what you got to do. You got to sign him.
He has signed a new contract, and he's there till 2028. Little Barky there.
It doesn't surprise me that he shouldn't have. He should. Everybody's excited. Mom's home, so
I was gonna say.
They weren't this excited when I came home. I can tell you that right now.
Oh, he just feeds me and gives me belly rubs.
Yeah. No, I think that if you're gonna keep Rashford there for the long haul, you're gonna make him the face of your organization. You have to give him the captaincy. You don't take it away from Bruno and give it to Varane. You don't. No. He's older. You don't take it away and give it to Casemiro. Even though I think that would be one that right now, if you were to give him captaincy last year, fine. This year, no. The way he's been playing.
I don't even think you give him to him last year.
That's all I'd look at.
I don't even think you give it to him last year, Casemiro. He was the new guy on the block.
Maybe you go Luke Shaw. I think Luke Shaw's been the most tenured one there. Yeah, but I mean, he brings something coming from Real Madrid. You get the almost like the aura or whatever you want to call it.
Yeah.
That's just kind of where I would lean. I would say if I'm then, I squash the bug right now. I demote Bruno. assistant captain, whatever you want to call it. I don't really know what they have there, what their hierarchy looks like. But I would say you got to give it to Rashford. Or if not, I maybe Luke Shaw. Maybe Luke Shaw, most tenured guy there, but he's always injured. So,
Yeah. It's got to be
Rashford probably end up with it anyway. So
yeah, right.
I think it's got to be Rashford.
It's quite a conundrum they've got going on there, and it's an enigma wrapped in a wet napkin. It's so fascinating to see somebody so relevant that exploded in the mid 2000s, early 2000s, all the way up to 2012, and then just fall off so hard. It's like in 300 when King Leonidas, did the whole "This is Sparta." So that's United right now, and they're the ones falling into the pit, not the other way around. They're not
kicking every single player and every coach down that hole.
Honestly, was that something else earlier? What was the deer, the fawn? What was I saying that earlier about? What the heck? The deer and the fawn. Ah, good God! Why didn't we start?
Oh yeah. I do remember. You basically downgraded their squad their squad from they weren't as good as they weren't quality deer. They weren't bucks. They were fawns.
Yeah, they were fawns. They were like newborn fawns and just stumbling about. And that's honestly what it looks like on the pitch too. They just don't seem to care. And we're getting our money's worth. We're getting our paycheck, and we'll just go home, and that's it. And that's why I think Rashford looks so dejected, and that's why I think that Højlund is actually the one that looks the best right now because he's so new and wants to show that he's so involved with the team. And Anthony looks terrible because he's just making his money. It's just there's no real sense of locker room in there. They don't want to fight for each other. It's just it's crazy to watch.
And actually, you know what? What do you say we get to the games this week? See how they get to on the pitch. See if they actually are able to get a uncommon 3 points. I didn't realize this. They've lost 8 matches this year. Did you know that?
No,
8 matches.
I had no idea. That's crazy. Insane.
8. They've only played 15, I think.
Oh, they've lost. So they've lost only 5 in the Prem. Oh, wait.
Prem, yeah, but they lost
overall.
They've lost 8 of 15. That's I think 2 in Europe and then the one last night.
Yep. Okay. Fair enough. Yeah, that's pretty crazy. All right. So why don't we, since we so much love towards United, what's your score for match week 11? Fulham at home against United.
Fulham hasn't been in good form at all. And I would honestly say they're probably one of the worst looking teams right now in the Prem. So I'm going to give United this one, and I hope that I'm right because I want Ten Hag to stay, because I want that shitstorm to come to Anfield on December 17th. So I'm going to go. I'm going to go 2-0 Manchester United over Fulham.
Fair enough. With a 1-1 draw. They did Fulham hold Brighton to a 1-1 draw as well. Although João Palhinha probably should have had a red card because he did blatantly elbow. I don't remember who it was in the face, but geez, this is tough too. Neither team are really scoring all that much. I don't really want to. I think it's going to be a 2-1 win for United personally. Brentford, West Ham.
It's going to be. Is that not one of the better early games?
Brentford, West
you don't
Ham.
know what the hell you're going to get, right? No. Fulham, Man United. You don't know what you're going to get.
Yeah. I mean, I guess if you want to wake up for the dramatics of it, definitely, because I'm assuming that's a 7:30 match there. But, yeah, so I could see that
Rhett's,
being.
uh,
Why he's still.
Rhett's giving me shtick for my faith in United, and that's what it's okay. It's okay.
That's fair. Also, Newcastle is down like 7 starters. Okay. Anyway, back to the podcast here. For people who actually are participating right now, no shot at Rhett. You have life things you have to do, and I totally understand that. And no, seriously, I totally understand. Brentford, West Ham. What are we feeling?
I'm going 2-1 West Ham, but I thought they looked really, really good against Arsenal. I don't know what Moyes was really, obviously he changed that attacking front there. I think he played like all 5 of their best attackers at once. They don't normally do that. So I think he might try it again here against Brentford. So I'm going 2-1 West Ham over Brentford.
So what's he's talking about? Because Arsenal and United did not play, or Arsenal and West Ham did not play last week. He's talking about the Carabao Cup personally. So, which Arsenal did bow out at because of that West Ham win. I think Brentford's actually going to hold their own, and I think it's going to end up being a 2-2 draw. Brett has a West Ham win at 2-0. And our next, yeah, right. I feel pretty good about it, to be honest. I'm not saying we're locking any bets here because, well, we're not sponsored by any betting company. However, if betting companies want to sponsor us, I'm cool with that too.
Yeah,
I think we're all cool with that.
365 bet. If you're listening, we can bet and play. No offense, Ivan Tony. We can bet and play. My guy. We can bet and play.
Jeez. Burnley Crystal Palace. How are you feeling?
This is either going to be the worst game of the weekend or the best game of the weekend.
I hope it's the best.
It's either going to be loads of goals or loads of nothing. No in between. I'm going to go 2-1 Crystal Palace. I'm hoping they get some of their guys back in time. I haven't heard anything on Eze. Haven't heard anything on Elise, and what their statuses are. So I'm still going to hold out hope that Roy Hodgson can see through a game, even though it is away at Burnley. If Burnley's going to get some points this year, it's going to be some games like this.
I agree.
The lower side of the team. So, but I'm going to go Crystal Palace 2-1.
See, I don't even think Crystal Palace, and they don't get enough credit. They kind of fly under the radar a bunch, and we don't talk about them, unfortunately, right now because Elise and Eze, both their high-flying youth players, are out with long-standing injuries. But they have a good core going on right now. And I don't think they're going to actually win this match. I actually think it's going to be a 1-1 draw. And I think that Burnley's going to pick up a point. But Crystal Palace isn't somebody to sleep on. If they get all their players healthy, they're a pretty decent squad.
Yeah.
Everton Brighton. I don't have a score, although I should have really thought that through. I feel like Brighton should win at least 2-0. That's what I'm laying on. 2-0.
See, I really like Brighton in this one. The only thing that's got me hesitant is that Everton put a whooping on Brighton last year at the end of the season.
Yeah, they did.
I believe the score was 5-2.
Yeah.
And that I think it was at Goodison Park, which this game is too. So that one is kind of lingering in the back of my head. I think it might be a little closer than that. I do like the form that Brighton are in. They're in some good goal. They're getting some good goal scoring opportunities despite the fact that they've been playing against, I think, better all-around squads recently.
Yeah.
But I'm going to go Brighton 3-1 on this one. I do think Evan Ferguson is an absolute stud, man. Like, I love that dude.
Yeah, he's a stallion, all right. I actually messed up. I probably should have said 2-1. The stat on Brighton right now is they have scored and have been scored on in their last 10 matches. And that is that's a record. As legit a record, Premier League record, yeah. Rhett has Brighton winning 3-0 against Everton. I'm still going to stick with my 2-0 score. Maybe whoever's playing goal, Justin Steele will keep it out of the net or something like that. But on to our next match. It's Man City versus.
It's Bart Verbruggen. I like your chances.
Our next match is Man City versus Bournemouth. Rhett has a gaudy number right now. It is 6-0 Man City. What say you? Yeah.
I'm not going.
Well, I mean, he got the 5-0 right. He's feeling pretty good.
I might later. I know. I might go crazy later. But I got Man City 4-1. Bournemouth, I think they keep this close in the first half, and then Holland has like some crazy second half. But this Bournemouth side, even though they were kind of rotated against Liverpool in the Carabao Cup, played pretty darn good in some really crappy elements. So I'm leaning to obviously leaning towards City, but I'm thinking that they might scrap a goal here in Bournemouth, especially if it's the first goal. That the game has changed if they can get the first goal.
It is in Bournemouth. I thought it was in the Etihad.
It's at the Etihad. The game this past week was at Bournemouth, and it was, I don't know if you saw the highlights or something, but the rain was literally going sideways. I've never seen anything like that. It's like a cold, wet, rainy night in Stoke.
Yeah, exactly. I'm feeling a 4-0 victory. The problem with City is when they start scoring a lot, they don't need to keep scoring. They can just possess. And that's probably what they'll do. They'll get up 3-4-0 and then just keep it and pass Bournemouth to death. On to Sheffield United and Wolves. Rhett has a 3-1 victory against excuse me, I said that wrong. Sheffield 1, Wolves 3. Very modest for Wolves. They did lose. Oh my goodness! I just drew a blank on his name. I can picture his face, but can't think of his name. Neto. Wait, Neto.
Pedro Neto.
Yeah. Okay. I was also thinking of the Neto for Bournemouth, the goalkeeper, but it's Pedro Neto.
I like that score. Once I saw his score, I was like, I can't do that. So I went 2-1. Wolves.
Stop it.
Neto. I know. Hey.
You could totally do the same score.
Same thing, you know.
Stop it.
I don't want to do the same thing. I want to be different. I'm going to go 2-1 Wolves. I do think you're right, though. I think Neto probably nets something here, whether it's a goal or assist. Or
Neto's out.
I think he definitely gets. Is he out?
Hamstring injury. He came up lame.
Oh, that's right. He got injured in the last match.
Yep.
Boy. Screw it. 2-1. 2-1 Wolves.
Okay.
2-1
They
Wolves.
still have.
Keep it
they still have that Korean guy, as Pep said, and he's been scoring goals.
Oh, Juan.
Yeah. No, that was the joke.
Is it 6 straight matches now?
Yeah, he's. I think at home though. He's been real good at home.
Pep's
this
favorite.
one away.
Pep's favorite Korean guy. If I'm not mistaken.
Yes, there you go. I'm thinking. I actually will. You know what? I don't care. I'll take your score line. I'll also say 2-1 Wolves. I have no shame. If I think that's how it's going to end up, I think that's how it's going to end up. On to Newcastle and Arsenal, which should end up being a really good match here. Rhett has Newcastle 0, Arsenal 2. That's pretty bold. Not really that bold, but I think
Ballsy.
It is in St. James Park, and it is a very hard place to play. I think this match is actually going to end up being. They did stop. I could see this being a 2-2 draw. Yeah, 2-2 draw. That's where I'm laying with.
I got the same score. I got 2-2. I can't see Arsenal getting a win at St. James Park. Not the way it is right now. Yeah, with this being the late game on that day too, I just can't see it. So, especially with the way they played the other night. If they play remotely similar to the way they played the other night, it's not gonna happen. They will lose that game if they play like that. So, yeah, I agree with you. I'm gonna go 2-2.
Forest Villa. Forest at home at City. Is it City Ground? City Ground. Yeah.
Yeah.
Rhett. Sorry.
No, go ahead. Go ahead. I was just agreeing with you.
Rhett has a 4-1 victory for Villa. I'm going to let you go because I'm going to let you think. I'm going to let me think about it for a minute because I don't remember what I said at the Villa.
I actually can't wait for this game. This is my after the game I'm obviously going to watch. This is my second favorite game of the week to watch. I think this actually could be pretty back and forth. I think that one team is a little bit more susceptible than the other, clearly, with the way they're playing lately. But I like Villa in this one 2-0. And I'm going to guarantee Ollie Watkins gets a goal in this one. Guarantee.
I do remember what I said. It was a 3-1 victory. Our defense is pretty good. The midfield's still pretty good. I think we're still susceptible to giving up a goal every now and then, whether it's Ezzy putting it in himself or somebody takes a net. Because we do play Villa does play a high line, so it does tend to, much like Liverpool, can cause a problem if they lop it over the top. So I think a 3-1 victory seems pretty par for the course for this match.
Yeah, and the offensive output by Nottingham Forest has been very hit or miss. They're either doing enough to get by to win, or they're not doing anything at all. And you look at their last match against Liverpool last week. They were so bad going forward. I think I said it around the 80th minute mark. I was like, can somebody look up and see how many saves Alisson Becker has? He had none. He didn't have to have a save. I think he had one for the entire match. That's just kind of the form they're in right now and the way their offense is. And they had Al-Nini on the bench to start. So I guarantee he starts this one with the way they're
found that weird
offense.
Too. I thought that was strange that he was on the bench. He was lighting up the first 5 matches, and then I think he got injured, which is fine. That happens. But then just never reclaimed it. They started playing Chris Wood, and I don't understand why you would go out of your way to start Chris Wood. I think he's a very mediocre striker. But you did pay $20 million for him, so there's that. Moving on to our next match, we have Luton Town versus Liverpool. Rhett has a 0-5 victory for Liverpool. I feel much of the same. I think that Luton Town is not going to be able to score against Liverpool, so I'm going to go with a 4-0 victory for Liverpool.
I'm going to one-up both of you. I'm going to go 6-0 Liverpool on this one. I don't know if we've had a game all season where we can basically go full squad, full all-out attack, and just see how many we can pour on. Liverpool have a game every single year, at least one, sometimes two, at best 3, where what they do is they'll just go straight out attack, and they're going to score 3-4 goals and a half. And that's just how it's going to be. Darwin Nunez is going to start. Mo Salah is going to be on the other wing. Darwin Nunez has scored in his last 3 games. I believe his last 4 games now with the goal against Bournemouth. He's playing absolutely out of his mind. The game against Bournemouth, Trent crossed the ball in from midfield to Darwin Nunez as he was trying to break away on the left-hand side. Nunez has a horrible touch, gets jeered by the Bournemouth fans, takes 3 more touches, kicks one onto his right foot, and then basically curls one in from about 25 yards out, and shush the crowd. He's so much like Fernando Torres, and I can't believe I'm actually saying that. But the guy is a second coming of Fernando Torres, and it's becoming scary now because I'm like, holy crap, this is actually what we bought. This is actually what we spent all that money on. The 65 million base fee, and he's been spectacular. So if Darwin Nunez gets a goal in this game, it wouldn't surprise me if he gets 3 or 4.
Yeah, that makes a ton of sense. At the level that Luton Town are playing at, it's kind of the same level as Bournemouth when they put on 9. And I totally agree with the fact that uh, Liverpool just score. They don't care. They don't care if they keep possession. They will just score. And that's why I said with the City one, they're just going to, like, they score,
They're
but they'll
ruthless.
pass you to death. They'll pass you to death. But Liverpool just go, go, go,
Yeah.
go. And I totally understand your scoreline, and that makes a ton of sense.
Yeah, they've been like that the last couple of years. I don't know what it is, but they've finally found a little bit of ruthlessness, and
Yeah.
that's kind of what they needed.
Yeah, agreed. Our final match is something that everybody's going to like to watch, just to see, how Spurs line up against two new managers line up against each other here, and it's Tottenham versus Chelsea. Rhett has a 2-0 victory towards Spurs. Spurs are home.
I am excited to see what happens in this match because I think this one is going to be very chippy. I think there's a possibility you see a red card in this match.
Yeah.
I'm gonna go 1-1. I'm going draw. I like enough of what Chelsea is doing to get by. They've been doing it over the last couple of weeks. They had a dud against Brentford. But I understand what they're trying to do. I understand what Pochettino wants them to do now. He wants them to basically hold possession and let the midfield basically cut down the low blocks, which a lot of teams are doing, and basically allowing the wingers to dictate play and get in behind. And I understand what he wants to do. It's just a matter of, can they execute it once? Can they execute it more than once, twice, 3 times? That's the thing, because they will do it. They did it against I think it was the second goal against Blackburn Rovers the other night. They did a good job at that. So I can see Chelsea at least getting a goal or 2 here. I do think the defense for Chelsea is going to be a lot better if they put Thiago Silva on the bench. Their best back line right now, in my opinion, is Disasi and Badiashile. That's easily the best line I think that they have, unless they go back 3. If they go back 3, then I honestly could see this game finish like a 0-0 or a 1-0 game like that. But I think it's gonna be a fun game to watch. I think it's gonna be bloody. It's gonna be a crappy game. I think it's gonna rain, actually, from what I'm seeing on the weather. So I'm actually excited for that one. So I'm going 1-1.
All right, that seems like a fair scoreline. I'm going to go way out of the spectrum here. I think a lot of goals are going to get scored in here. I honestly think it's going to be a 3-2 victory for Spurs. They're at home, and I know that Ange had made a mention. They're just like, we don't want a fortress. We want a party house. And that's what I feel. I feel that now since Kane has been shed, everything, the air has been lifted. The fog has been picked up and out of the stadium. And it's just like, it's so much more fan friendly right now. And everybody is obviously being first in the Prem is going to, pick up your atmosphere. But I think that's what's going to take them and score 3 goals here. And, well, Chelsea love dribbling it in the box, and they probably find a goal in a pen. But I think that's 3-2 victory for Spurs is how it's going to end up being. How do you feel about doing true false today? I know you were seeming pretty excited early on, so I'm pretty sure you want to do it.
I got a couple for you.
Cool. Let me think of.
Let me throw the first one your way.
Yeah, shooter.
True or false? More than one manager gets fired during the next international break in a week and a half.
False. I think it's 1. And I think it's Sheffield United. I think it's Paul Heckenbottom gets fired.
You think he goes?
Yeah, I think he goes. I think you keep Ten Hag.
So Ten Hag's staying then.
Yeah, I think you keep Ten Hag till December. Look, if
good. Rightly so.
if United rip off like 3-4 games and they win like with outstanding not resilience, I'm thinking of the wrong word, but they just go out and dominate and they win like 3-1 or 4-0 and then another like 2-0 victory. I think that just starts to put some wind in the sails and then you can start to believe again a little bit. If they still pull a few draws and a couple close games, even if they win them or not, like a 2-1 victory or a 1-0 victory, I still don't think that instills the kind of hope into fans that people are going to want. So, yeah, I think that's still false. And I think that a Paul Heckenbottom will see a day where he'll be on the couch.
I think he's. I agree. I kind of think his days are numbered, but man, I just don't know where they go from here. I don't know who wants that job.
That's fair. Let's see. True or false? I'm going to take this right out of Rhett's page book. The top 5 teams will finish. The teams that are currently in the top 5 will finish top 5. I'm not saying in the same order. I'm just saying those teams will finish top 5.
Newcastle are 6th, right?
Newcastle are, give me 2 seconds, 6th.
If Newcastle is 6th, I'm going false. I think Newcastle are probably. I think they're going to end up 4th, no matter what. I think it's going to be them 4th.
Gotcha.
They've got the makings. I don't think United's going to get there. I don't think Chelsea's going to reach it. Although I think Chelsea could possibly end up getting 6th or 5th or something like that.
Uh-huh.
I don't think that Newcastle is bad enough to not get 4th. The only thing I have in there too is that you can't count out Villa, and they're playing out of their minds right now. Unai Emery's got a freaking squad, man.
Mm-hmm.
So I don't count them out either, but I would say that they probably finish 6th. I would say Villa probably gets 6th. I don't see them dropping a lot of points. I see them, if they're going to drop points, it's going to be against the big 6 sides. But I can't see them losing to Sheffield. Can't see them losing to Burnley. Can't see them losing to Luton Town. So they're going to get all those points I think they need from the bottom half of the table to keep themselves up and avoid any major upsets to ruin their campaign. So I'm going to go. I'm going to go false. I'm going to say Newcastle do there, and probably Chelsea. I would say 5th right now.
Fair enough.
I got another one for you.
Absolutely.
True or false? True or false? Erling Haaland will not be the leading Premier League goal scorer by Christmas.
Oh, that's a good question. That is a good true false. He has
I'm gonna throw a little fact out there because I don't know if you know this yet. So remember, they have a Club World Cup that they have to play. So that means I believe they have one less game to play during the winter window, if I'm not mistaken. So, so he will probably they'll have a game in hand, I think, by the time we hit the new year.
That's an interesting. That makes it even more interesting. I have not looked at City's schedule for the next, till December because I don't want to or need to. I don't think Son's going to keep up the pace that he's at. He's a very good player, but I don't think they're going to keep up. He's going to keep up scoring goals. Salah would be the only other person that I'm really concerned about with that statement, the true false. Geez, I'm going to go with. I want to say false. I'm going to go with false because I want to be weird. I think it could actually be Salah takes over, or I don't want to play a homer, but Ollie Watkins could end up being in there too because he's been scoring goals left and right, and he has a very high XG. He's up there with Darwin Nunez as far as high XG, and I think XG is a nice little numeric, but I don't follow religiously either. So, yeah, that's where I'm sitting with
See,
false.
if it's to Christmas, I like Salah's matchups coming up. I mean, obviously he's got Luton Town this weekend. He's got Brentford after that. He always scores against City. They got City coming back from the internet. He always scores against City. Scored 2 goals against them last year. Then after that, he's got Fulham at home, Sheffield United away, Crystal Palace, and then United, who he's guaranteed to get a goal against. So I mean, the guy is literally lining up all these teams in a row. He's already scored or assisted in every single match this year. Minus, I mean, if you really want to count the goal that should have stood, Luis Diaz, he did. Minus the one game, obviously, but yeah, he and shout out to Luis Diaz. I guess they're in the midst of getting his father back. I don't know if you heard about that story, but
I did. That's insane.
Diaz, obviously, yeah. It's so I guess ELN, a political, almost like a cartel, I guess, in Colombia, captured Diaz's parents. They let his mother go the night of capture, and released her. There was reports that they got the father back, and then now it turned out that report was false. The father was being extradited to Venezuela, and now it turns out that the so-called political group that kidnapped them didn't know they had Luis Diaz as his father.
Yeah,
called bullshit. So so yeah, hopefully, I mean, they said it's supposed to be within the next couple hours.
That's good.
Of this actually probably dropping, that he'll be released. So
that's good.
Hopefully that happens. So kind of sucks.
Yeah, no, I mean, nobody should have to go through that, and nobody it's even worse. I hate saying this because it's I'm going to be empathetic. Actually, it feels terrible that a player who has a lot of money like this has to worry about their family in a country like that. They shouldn't have to worry about their family and to have to.
And he came from one of the poorest villages.
Exactly, and that's the problem. It's so unfortunate. It's so unfortunate.
Yeah,
but
the kid finally makes it. Makes a name for his family, and it sucks.
Yep. So hopefully that gets all sorted out. Thoughts to Luis Diaz and his family. Not that he's going to listen to this, although I hope you do. And please share if you do. And comment and all that hot jazz. I will give you a true false. And my true false is you would rather. How would I do this? Give me a second. True or false? You'd rather be a Chelsea fan than a United fan.
Fuck.
So, just perspective, Chelsea sit 11th for other people. We know this already, but
Well, I don't want to be either.
I know you don't want to be either.
If I'm talking about just like the way they play and the outlook for this season.
Just overall,
I'm going to go
their
Chelsea.
Overall demeanor. Go ahead.
I got to go Chelsea. I got to go Chelsea. I think they're so much in a better position. I don't think United are going to get out of this. I can honestly, and I can't believe I'm actually saying this, I could see United finishing 8th or 9th.
I agree with that. I don't think they don't have the backbone right now to finish anything higher than 8th. I'm all out of true false.
Could you imagine United finishing out of Europe?
Yes. I want that so bad.
I mean, look, so bad too.
Look, Rhett had brought it up in a group chat with her old head coach, and he said that United have the Yankee syndrome. They cannot have a rebuilding season or rebuilding seasons. They always continually have to be the best that they could possibly be, and nothing is a rebuild. They unfortunately, or fortunately for some other teams, have to rebuild. They cannot keep stacking shit on top of shit. I mean, you can.
True.
You can, but it's not going to end up. It's going to be up like the what the heck is it called? Full Metal Jacket. I didn't know they stack shit that high. Oh boy, I have no more true falses unless you have one more that you want to hit me, or you can save it.
I'm
next
out,
week.
brother. I'm out of true and false.
Okay, I was gonna say we are pushing the limits of the listeners at 1 hour and 25 minutes, and we're pushing our luck because my throat is getting sore. If you have stuck around this long, we greatly appreciate it, and would love if you would like, share, comment, subscribe. Anything you want to do, we'll respond back to you. We love our fans. You can check us out at Wolf's Beer Garden in Albany. One of the three of us, myself or Woodsy, will be there frequently. Shout out to Carl because he's a cool dude, and the rest.
Good thing
of
is,
the
I think we got at least one of us representing each day this weekend. So
yeah,
that's a good thing too. We're missing
go down
you,
there.
buddy. I know you're going golf.
Well, look, I got to squeeze it in. It's November, and the fact that I'm going to be able to go golfing in November in the Northeast, it's a miracle. You got to do what you got to do. Well, with that, thank you, everybody. We appreciate for the listen, and have a wonderful time. Well, guys, that was an episode of Swinging at Shins. We appreciate you for coming out and listening to us. If you guys want to hear or see more, we have links in the description below. We hope to hear from you soon and hear more about what you have to say.